Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. How are you today? How was your week? Hello. Oh, hello, Margarita. Hello. How are you today? How was your week? It's been our last webinar, and probably the summer is finished. What plans do you have for the last days of your summer? And what about the format of studying at school, at universities? Do you have thanks. Okay. What's the format you are going to have this academic year? Is it offline, online, or blended? Can you share with me, please? Because at my university, it's very it's like floating. Though they said that we are going to that they said that we are going to study at the buildings offline. It seems to me that that's not true. It's not all of the people were vaccinated, fully vaccinated. What about your academic establishment? Okay, nobody's answering me, right? Okay, fine. Just a little bit. I'm going to. By the way, speaking about the Gala project this week, the winner is Maria Mitrokhina. Everybody, all of our teachers voted, and they chose Maria Mitrokhina, right? Maria Mitrokhina for these for as the winner this summertime, like the second Gala project this summer, like that. So congratulations. I don't know whether that's from your group. I will have a distance form of studying to preparing for school mentally and to prepare all the notebooks. Oh my God, I don't like that. I usually don't prepare. I don't have any notebooks for my studying. Usually when back then when I was studying at school, I also didn't prepare anything. It's just I was writing in one book, in one notebook. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm very, I'm the person who's very kind of not very this so as like that mm, oh, stationary, right? So I'm not very stationary wise responsible person. That I don't know about you, but I'm either. Okay, fine. I just right. I will be chilling. Usually I don't study a lot. I'm going to have my capstone. So this is in Ukrainian diplom, my last year of my 6th year of studying. That's why I'm not very kind of. Fine. Good. Thanks a lot. So the last webinar, the last hour webinar is devoted to the interesting topic. It's about storytelling. So the agenda of today's webinar. We're going to have a little bit of the video and post video, follow on video discussion, the importance of storytelling, what's the storytelling is, the power of storytelling, some of the techniques how to make a great story, developing a story, having a look at the structure and the elements of the story, and practice. Probably we won't have a practice, but maybe if we have time, we are going to spend it watching the video about storytelling. Right. First of all, before discussing, I would like you to watch one of the most famous and most widespread example of masters of storytelling. It's a brand of this whiskey or scotch, it seems to me, Johnnie Walker. They are considered to be number one of storytellers that they use this skill in their advertisement campaigns. That's why I'm going to show you this video of their last, it seems to me, advertisement campaign that was entirely based on storytelling.
I want this boat. Built in 1928. Designed by the Baglietto Yard. Variazze, Italy. Nothing like it in the world. Rarer than rare. It's not for sale. I want to buy with money. I want to win it. With a dance. With dance. With a dance. Dance. Why did I say I would dance? I don't know how to dance. Why did I say I would dance? What was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Well, let me just pin it up at the front.
It definitely feels too tight.
Again, 1, 2, 3, thumb.
In you go.
Oh, this is perfect. Is that a piano? Is that working?
Yeah. It's a very old piano, but it's got a lovely tune, you know. What did you want it for anyway?
A bit of fun.
No. Fun?
Oh, well. Let's get on with it then. Hello? I want to buy this book. Built in 1928 by the renowned Baglietto yard, Varese, Italy. Nothing like it in the world. Rarer than rare. It's not for sale. I don't want to buy it with money. I want to buy it with a story. A story.
Okay, good. Or just, where's my presentation? Right here. So that was the explicit example of how stories can be used to sell something, especially in the campaign, enticing campaign by Johnny Walker, Brain Company. So everybody in the not everybody, but all the pundits of the advertisement and marketing think that it was the best way to promote the product. So following on the video and the example, what the craziest, the weirdest, or the funniest story that has ever happened to you or somebody you know? Can you please type in the chat box and share with everybody? In a second, I will tell my story. I will be waiting for your stories. So the craziest or the funniest or the weirdest story that has ever happened to you. As for me, there is no like something the weirdest or the funniest or the craziest thing happened to me, because usually I have them naturally very regularly. And for example, during my vacation this time, when I wasn't present during your webinars, I had a very funny story. We watched a video from a very popular, back at the time, Ukrainian reality TV show. And it was so funny that we laughed. We couldn't stop laughing. And we were dancing afterwards every day. When we were at the seaside, we were gesturing and miming, and we were dancing. So it was so funny that we couldn't even stop doing that. So for me, it was like the craziest, both the craziest and the funniest thing happened to me during the vacation. Actually, every vacation I try to find something funny to make the vacation positive. And it happened, and it even surpassed my expectations for the funny, for the level of fun during this vacation. So that was the case. Funny stories happen to me every day when I'm with friends. Unfortunately, I can't choose a one. They all are weird, right? That's what I'm talking about, Margarita. That's what I'm talking about. By the way, today is the week of active students. Oh, I also missed you. That's so cute. I just couldn't. By the way, today is the week of active students, and I'm going to choose active students with the help of the wheel or not. I will decide. I don't know what I'm to type. Right. Just. I'm going to write active students today. Whoa. already recorded. Good. Fine. Let's move on. So, stories have been used to hand down learning and knowledge for thousands of years. A good story engages our curiosity, emotions, and imagination. We spoke to people to somehow to connect with them both physically and mentally and emotionally. Stories is the tool that helps us to do that better with more high quality, with a higher quality, and very skillfully. Stories has the transformative power, the power of storytelling and potential to bring about change. Perhaps the first thing that springs to mind when you think of storytelling is a childhood experience of being told a story or a story that you have told to a child, doing a different voice for every character, for example. We're all familiar with traditional form of storytelling, such as fairy tales, legends, myths, and these oral and written stories continue to evolve as they are retold and brought to life in different forms. But storytelling doesn't just take place within a pool of lamplight in a nursery. It's like telling to some child a story, right? A lamplight in a nursery, around a campfire. Stories are part of our daily lives. In the anecdotes we tell, be careful, anecdotes are not jokes. They don't necessarily mean jokes. Anecdote is a story from your life. Anecdote is not a joke, please. I will continue and go on telling that anecdote is not a joke. It's a story, a real life story that you tell people. Be careful. Okay, good. I'm going just to record it, not to, because when anecdote, because when you story, a real life story, it doesn't mean a joke. It's become very chilly outside. Even sometimes I even close the window because it's really chilly outside, and so inside I'm shocked. Right. So doesn't just take place within a lamplight or within a pool of lamplight in a nursery or around a campfire. Stories are part of our daily lives. In the anecdotes we tell to our friends, the books we read, and the films we watch. Stories are also recognized as an important way of connecting with any audience, and storytelling is increasingly used in workplaces, advertising, and fundraising. Stories are the way we understand and make sense of the world we find ourselves in. For example, in healthcare, stories are proven to be a useful tool in engaging people with quality improvement work. Telling the story of one patient's experience of care can memorably illustrate improvements or problems in a care pathway. Statistics and data have an important place. in monitoring, understanding services, and facilitating improvement. But the right story can also have the power to motivate and change minds. Sharing the story of a patient or frontline worker with the board or with a team can quickly and effectively bring a situation to life and focus discussions around quality improvement and patient experience. For example, at the Healthcare Foundation, we find that storytelling helps to communicate in a powerful way. The lessons emerging from some of the projects we found that are funded. Storytelling approaches help us inform debate and discussion, raise awareness of the work of our grant holders and people we work with, as well as help bring key issues to life. They can help us to appeal to hearts as well as minds. So can you see that people describe stories and the art and the technique of storytelling as the tool to appeal to hearts as well as minds. Stories take many forms, but they usually have some elements in common. Rather than a list of dry facts, stories have a narrative or a sequence, and they introduce people or characters. We respond to stories, particularly when there is emotional detail, and remember information given in story from much more vividly. Why it's important? Why it's so important? Stories have a transformative power to allow us to see the world in a different way than we do. If we just encounter it on our own, stories are an entry point to understanding in a different experience of the world. This aspect of storytelling, presenting a different perspective of the world, is important when it comes to connecting with each other. It gives us an opportunity to learn from another person's experience, and it can shape, strengthen, or challenge our opinions and values. When a story catches our attention and engages us, we are more likely to absorb the message and meaning within it than if the same message was presented simply in facts, digit figures, tables, just dry facts and statistics. So it's a tool to absorb the message and meaning rather in a very simple way. With the help of the stories, we can relate to an individual much more easily than a group. First-person narratives are helpful in seeing people as individuals rather than as a group, like patients, refugees, or the homeless. Storytelling and listening is a two-way process. There is some evidence from neuroscience which suggests that when I'm telling you a story and you are listening to my story, our brain patterns begin to mirror one another. So our brain patterns mental faculty begins to mirror one another. We're connecting, and the empathy is on not just an emotional, but a physical level. Everyone has stories to tell. Storytelling is a skill that can be developed, and as a tool, it can be used to powerful effect. Developed and used purposefully, storytelling can contribute to inclusion and connection, build confidence, and bring about change. Each story, as well as the storyteller, is unique. The storyteller is sharing their experience of the world for the listener. Lots of things make a story powerful. The way that it's structured, the skill of the storyteller, the content of the story, the way that a voice is used. Different things come together. If people are inspired to use storytelling in their work, I'd recommend working with people who know about storytelling, such as artists, audio producers, and others. They can help us to look at how you can use storytelling in a way that is going to help you meet your aims. Storytelling is an important communication tool for healthcare system, for example. It can capture people's attention, strike a chord with people's minds and hearts, and hopefully provoke them to think differently about an issue that was raised in a story. It's used probably in a way of encouraging people to delve deeper into the evidence about what works and doesn't to improve the area you are talking about, or to improve the issue you are talking about. So stories are used in all of the aspects, in all of the areas of our life. For example, animations, blogs, films, books, and other stuff. People are experimenting with different approaches to engaging people with their work. We also encourage those we fund to use storytelling to help share the learning from their environment, improvement work, and have created resources to help them. Right. So what I wanted to continue talking about. So when talking about stories, it's very important to think about the techniques that you can apply and the areas you can apply the storytelling. It's one of the marketing world's new darlings. It's marketing strategy that has made its way into everywhere from boardrooms to mom and to pop stores. Storytelling is even being hailed as the single most powerful business skill for the next decade. Unfortunately, storytelling as applied to business can seem a bit lofty, more like a concept than a tactic. That's especially true if you are not a Fortune 500 company with a multi-million dollar budget for television commercials. So does storytelling apply to smaller businesses? Can storytelling be practical there? These two questions are very hard to answer, but to my mind, the answer is going to be more yes than no. Storytelling is actually the oldest way to deliver a message or to explain the world. Ancient peoples used storytelling. The Bible used storytelling. Your uncle uses storytelling. You are using storytelling for yourself and your business, even if you don't call it exactly like that. You are already a storyteller, but it's always good to improve your skills. So here are 7 techniques to help you explain yourself and your business better. Your business, your interest better, doesn't matter really. Even a few tweaks to your story can deliver major results. But just knowing how to be a better storyteller isn't enough. So here are 5 areas. I will present 5 areas of the business, of your business. It's not like making it's not like company, but it's business like your deal, that you can apply your new storytelling skills to. These address very specific goals, like getting more readers to your blog, business, right? Explaining what your company does, attracting ideal employees and others. Storytelling can seem like a lofty, magical topic, but it's actually one of the simplest, oldest ways to promote anything and to entice anything. You even may find to like it. So, technique number 1, have an enemy and a hero. Stories need a good guy and a bad guy, also called a hero and an enemy. The enemy can be a thing like desert or the system, or even a fear within the hero. The arc of the story is how the hero beats the enemy. Questions to ask yourself about this might include, what's the core enemy of my customers or clients? Is it danger, wasted money, unfulfilled dreams, bad hair, appearance, etc.? There should be always a conflict. Conflict is how the friction between the enemy and hero manifests. Maybe it shows up as the hero deciding to cross the desert, or when you, the business owner, for example, decided to figure out how to defeat a problem. Conflict also describes the obstacles you encountered or your way to success. Whether they were problems with your bank or with a tornado, if the hero has no struggle, then it's a lame story. Omit any irrelevant detail. Omit any detail that doesn't move the story forward or develop the characters. This is about keeping the reader's attention, keeping them at the edge of the seat. If they don't need to know about your red bicycle to understand the arc of your story, don't tell them about this bicycle. If they don't need to know what kind of awesome high-tech sneakers you need to cross the desert, don't tell about the sneakers. Tell the story like you talk. This one's pretty simple. Corporate speak ruins stories. Talk like you would normally talk. If you sound a little too corporate to pass as an average person, hire a storyteller. I remember, when I was recording the videos for the course, I do it on a regular basis. But the first time I remember, I was told that you should speak to the camera like you are sitting in a bar or in a pub with your friend with a glass of beer, with a glass of beer, just talking to the friend and telling the story to the friend. And it's going to make a great video. It's like you are talking to a friend. And I remember it till now. It was very good advice at that time, because these videos were very easygoing. It's very simple to watch. There is no tension between the watcher and the author. The last but not the least, make it visual. There is a reason children's storybooks are mostly pictures, and that so many of the greatest stories ever told have been made into movies. Images bring a story to life. You can tell a story just by standing up and talking, but it had better be one hot clutch of a story. And even then, added images will make it more powerful. Make it personal and easy to relate to. To immediately borrow from the last point, use images of what actually happened, or where it happened, or when it happened. Use images of the real people in the story, not stock photo models. And again, talk like you talk. Show your personality. Reveal a bit of your weaknesses and your fears. Everybody else has those weaknesses and fears too. This leverages the subtle power of storytelling. When we tell our own story, often we are telling other people's story too. Those people are your ideal audience, your ideal customers or clients. Add surprise. A story with no surprises is boring. You know this already because you're already a storyteller, but it bears repeating. Whether it's a good surprise or a bad surprise, every good story has at least one surprise. This is an essential to a story as a conflict, as a climax of the story. So, again, where you can apply the storytelling. It was just like a thumbnail version of how to tell a good story. Now I'm going to tell you where to apply that story in your areas of life. First of all, that's your blog. You can use your blog as a segmented way to tell the long version of your story. Or you can use each blog post as a mini story. For example, you could write a post about your father who was in the same business as you are now, and write the post as a story about something he did. That's telling a segment of your extended story. Or you could write a blog post about a client who struggled with something and how they overcame it as the mini story you open a blog post with. Videos. Any story you can think of about you or your business or your industry, your customers, can be made better by creating a video of it. There are a great number of tools that can help you to make a video, even just to skip the audio from the video or images or anything else. Just adding specifics will help you. Advertising hooks. To remind you how powerful storytelling can be as an advertising hook, I've got one question. Can you hear me now? Attracting employees. Whether you are attracting new employees or inspiring existing ones, stories are a fantastic tool. Remember how I said stories are a way to explain the world. How would you explain your company's worldview, your blog's worldview, or anything else worldview in a story? Are you using any other story? Good. Let's have a look then at 6 rules of great storytelling by Big Sam. I think that it's the best pieces of advice by Big Sam. Great stories are unique, not universal, but they are unique, not universal. Great stories have a clear structure and purpose. First of all, your story needs to have introduction, then I told you climax, so the conflict or surprise, so something like a twist of the story, and then like ending. It could be happy end, not happy end, just doesn't matter. And there should be a purpose, so there should be a clear relation to the audience and a clear relation to the aim of your story, of telling your story. Stories have a character to root for. So there should be a hero that you could support, you can feel sympathy for, and others. So it's obviously important. Appeal to your deepest emotions. So they should provoke very intensive and strong feelings. So everybody could appeal to hearts and minds. Great stories are surprising and unexpected. So there should be at least one surprise, and there should be at least one story twist or plot twist, not story, but plot twist. Great stories are simple and focused. They should be just simple real life stories with a clear focus to focus the discussion. Let's have a look at the elements and structure of the story. First of all, the elements of 4 why: who, what, when, and where. Structure. First of all, you need to have a problem. So you need to have a problem that you need to solve throughout the story, so that your hero needs to solve throughout the story. There should be a journey of sorting out this problem. And there should be the end of the story, so the solution that the hero has found. Okay. That's why we are going to have a little bit of the discuss markers that will help you to identify your structure of the story. First of all, start with the introduction. Once upon a time, once, there, one day, like that. Every day, one day, so the body of the story, just usual stuff. One day, so there should be a plot twist, a conflict, and the journey, beginning of the journey. Because of that, that's beginning of the journey, and until finally the end of the story. So the end of the journey. It's called even the story spine, skeleton. In practice, we are not going to have it. Good. So let's have a look at the video that tells a great, let me find it. From a TED talk, there was even a book based on this speech. Which is quite effective. Just let me find. Oh, here I found.
Home. There's no place.
You longed and how you yearned. In 2009, a man, a journalist, by the name Rob Walker, wanted to find out is storytelling really the most powerful tool of all? And in order to do this, he went on his computer and he bought 200 objects from eBay. And the average price of the objects were about $1. He then called 200 authors and he asked them, hey, would you like to be part of the significant object study? Which means that I would like to write a story to one of the objects. And 200 authors said yes. So there he had 200 objects, he had 200 stories, and I assume that it was with nail-biting anticipation that he went on eBay again with all the 200 objects. Would there be a difference? Would there be a change? Do you think there was a change? One of the objects was this beautiful horse's head. There we go. The beautiful horse's head. Now, this beautiful horse's head was bought for 99 cents and was sold when a story was added for $62.95. That is a slight increase of 6,395%. So was this a one-off situation? Not really, because he bought the 200 objects for a total of $129, selling them for $8,000. Now that's insane. But you know what's even more intellectually challenging to understand is how can you and I go to the movies and pay good money to watch movies like James Bond, who are absolutely unrealistic. And we sit there, we enjoy the movie. And some of us, we really enjoy the movie. And we leave the theater going like, God, what a man. I would like to be more like him. I'd like to walk like him. I'd like to talk like him. I like Bond. Wonder how I could be more like Bond. And then this weird revelation hits you like from nowhere, and you come up with a brilliant idea to walk to a watchmaker shop. And wow, it just happens to be an Omega watch in that shop that resembles the one that Bond was wearing in the movie. And you pay $10,000 to put that watch on your wrist, and you leave that store feeling more like Bond. How is that possible? PQ Media tells us that $10.5 billion is turned over in product placement revenue every single year. How is it possible for you to be so easily tricked by something so simple as a story? Because you are tricked. Well, it all comes down to one core thing, and that is emotional investment. The more emotionally invested you are in anything in your life, the less critical and the less objectively observant you become. And the greatest emotional investment of all is falling in love. And falling in love resembles a good story. Do you remember the last time you fell in love? Do you? Good for you. It's a beautiful feeling, isn't it? Do you remember how you longed and how you yearned and how you dreamt? And then you looked at her and maybe you thought, God, I love the way you chew that apple. So crunchy. Oh, and the way you slurp that tea just over the edge, you know? Oh, it's so sexy. Love it. And then about 13 months later, when you biochemically fall in out of love, 13 months later, on an average, you fall out of love. Suddenly, you find yourself sitting in the sofa. And you go, Jesus Christ, where did this thing come from? Oh my God, and where are my friends? This is a weird thing. And then suddenly you hear a sound. You go like, what's that? You go over to the kitchen and you look and you go like, oh, it's you. You're eating an apple there. Could you just keep that down just a little bit? Yeah, you're kind of spraying the table there. Please don't. And you sit down comfortably again, and just a minute later you hear somebody drinking tea from the kitchen going, and suddenly this is all annoying to you. Have you been there? Sadly enough. 30 months later, our critical thinking and our cortex comes home from a 1-year-long vacation, and we start questioning things. Now, during those 30 months, what happened was that your brain was flooded with neurotransmitters and hormones, hijacking your cortex, throwing your objectively observant skills out of the window. And the thing with storytelling is that the same thing can happen. In stories, the same hormones and neurotransmitters can be released. Hormones like vasopressin, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, endorphins. And do you know what? That's what I would like to do during my talk. I would like to induce 3 hormones into your brain. I call it the angel's cocktail, so it's a nice cocktail. I would like to start with radically increasing your dopamine levels. And I need your consent on this. Is it okay? Cool. If you don't like the idea of that, you'll just have to cover your ears. So dopamine, this is what it looks like. And when you have that in your blood, these are the beautiful effects. You get more focus, more motivation, and you remember things in a better way. So what does dopamine feel like? It feels like this. About 6 years ago, I received a phone call from a woman who represented one of the biggest training companies in Scandinavia. And she said, hey, David, we've got a lot of trainers in presentation skills and in rhetorics, and we would like to increase the level of all of these. And we think you are a perfect pick. Would you like to come to a meeting? I'm like, wow, I'm honored. I'd love to. And I come up to Stockholm and I'm going to their office. And just as I am going to pull the handle down, what I don't know then is that I'm walking into one of the absolute worst meetings I am ever going to have in my life. But I don't know that yet, so it's okay. I open the door and I meet this woman. Her name is Lena. And hurriedly she says, David, just so you know, I'm not the one you're going to have this meeting with. You're going to have it with 3 gentlemen further on here. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit strange. Usually you know who you're going to have the meeting with. And then she progresses with a bit of chit-chatting. And then suddenly she says, are you ready now? And I'm like, yeah, what should I be ready for? And then she says, just so you know, can you see the room over there? And I go like, yes, I can see it. Well, in that room, you have the 3 gentlemen. Just so you know, they're all majority owners of this company. They've all got an ex-military background. And none of them wants the training that you are going to pitch.
Жива вода, жива легенда.
Like, come on, why am I here? And it's like, well, all the trainers want this, but the management are on too high horses. They can't see that they need it. So it's pretty simple. The only thing you have to do is go in there and kind of, you know, just prove the opposite. I'm like, yeah, that sounds simple, doesn't it?
Okay. That was it. He's quite a nice guy, and I like his speech. And this speech was transformed into the book to make it more visual. Good. I hope you like it. Just my favorite talk. I often watch them, but I haven't seen the okay. So you must watch it till the end because it's one of the best, probably one about influencing people. Okay, so today we had just a second. That's from another group. I'm going to decide the most active person today. It was Rita and Katya, right? Rita, Katya, that's it. So I'm going to decide from you both. Rita and Katya, right? So today, Rita is the most active player, and Rita is going to receive a present from me. Thanks a lot, girls, for joining me during the last webinar. Thanks a lot for summertime. Enjoy the last days of summer, and see you somewhere.